All right, traders, the portfolio is currently up 2% on the day. I had an amazing trade on Ford, sold way too soon. I'm going to be explaining some of the mistakes that I made in terms of selling too soon. I made a 35% profit in 2 minutes. Those contracts at the peak were up 200% in about 40 minutes. I'm going to be breaking down the Ford put option trade recap. I'm also going to be going over how to trade the best setups at the best prices. We got some new setups lined up. We got some very important stock market updates to be going over. Tomorrow is going to be Friday. So if you are going to trade the same day expiration, make sure you scale back in your position size and let the percentage return of the contract do the work for you, as they are going to be a lot more volatile. So let's get right into it, guys. We got some very important updates. So what I've been noticing is, especially when the market is towards resistance levels, which it currently technically is, and I'm going to be going over that, I've noticed on Friday it tends to sell off because nobody really wants to hold and go long over the weekend. So there's a lot of selling pressure created. So within this video, I'm going to be explaining to you and preparing with you, how to trade both ways, how to trade the best setups at the best prices. Make sure you smash that like button. Let's get right into it. So first things first, we're going to quickly go over my trade recap. This is going to teach you some of the strategy, and then we're going to get into how to trade the best setups at the best prices. Also going to be congratulating some members within Trader Society who made some phenomenal trades on their own today. So let's get into it. So first things first, guys, we're going to go over Ford. This is going to quickly teach you a strategy, right? So, why did I decide to buy and alert Ford put options at market open? I mean, this was by far one of the best trades of the week. You could see right here, let me scroll. So right here is where I sent out the alert, which was at 9:32 a.m. I bought these Ford puts. It was the April 29th expiration, 14.5 out of money strike. I bought them at 19 cents at 9:32 a.m. I got out just like 2 minutes later for a 34% win. Just like that, 34% win. If you can trade at market open, and if you can buy puts at the low on the contract towards the high on the stock, they print like crazy within the first 30 minutes. So I'm going to be going over that, and I'm going to be going over some swing trades. I got some swing trades that I ended up making on NKTX, which is another stock I think is going to be crushed. So make sure you stay tuned on this video. It's going to be a good one. So in terms of what I was seeing on Ford, this was mainly a key breakdown setup. I was noticing on the daily chart, kind of similar to Tesla, not exactly, but I was noticing on this daily chart, if you just look at the overall support on this stock, you could see right here, you got a lot of support on this stock. You actually have a gap to fill below right here at $14.12. There was a gap to fill at $14.12, right? And if you look, Ford had a lot of support in the 1490s. And if it cracks 1490s, so see how I'm trading the daily chart. I'm going back throughout the daily chart. I'm saying, okay, Ford has a lot of support at 1490s. If it cracks, the daily chart shows there's really no support until all the way down here, till 1412 to fill this gap. This is just a huge gap up, a huge daily green candle. So the point being is, if it cracks this 1490 support, this 1497 support, this $15 support level, it's going to have a big sell-off, right? So this is what you would call a big downside potential situation, because it's at a key support level, 15 to 1490. If it cracks, it's going to get crushed, go back to the next support level, which is right here, to fill this gap below. You got a gap to fill below right here, which was at, let me fix this daily chart for you here real quick. You got a gap to fill below right here at $14.12, right? So that's what I was doing. I was playing for the gap to fill below. I was playing the key breakdown for the gap to fill below. And if we take a look at Ford and we take a look at the 5-day chart right here, you can visually see you have very strong support at 1460s, nice upside potential into the lower 15s. Very strong support at 1450s. It's trying to crack, it's trying to break down. New lower highs into the 1540s. And today was the day, if you look at the pre-market, it gave it all away. After hours yesterday, it had a nice move up with the earnings. It went to 1540s, and then it pulled back all the way down to 1480s. And then you had a retest here, failed to break out. So if it cracks this wick, if it cracks this support, you're looking at, excuse me, you're looking at that downside potential play to right here, which is going to be towards 1450s. So if it takes out this support in the 1480s, it goes to about 1450s. And if 1450s cracks, it snaps off a cliff because there's no support on the daily, and it's been failing. It's been trying to break down this 5-day channel support. It's been trying to go lower overall, and it's gonna go back to this overall daily support to fill this gap. You can see right here your support is at 1480s. Once it cracks, the overall next support level is going to be the low of this candle, which is 1431, and also there's a gap to fill below at 1412. So I was using the gap fill strategy. I was playing for this gap to fill below at 1412. And the way I was able to determine that that gap was going to fill was by studying the extended hours. So see how I'm trading the daily chart, see how I'm studying the extended hours trading. And I'm saying, okay, it's in a 5-day channel. It keeps, you know, forming lower highs. It keeps trying to crack and break down this 1460s. Once it can do that, it's going to fill that gap below, go to the low on that daily candle at 1431, try to fill the gap below at 1412, right? So as soon as I noticed that it was topping out multiple times in the pre-market, that's a very bearish sign. You can see right here when it was topping on the pre-market, it sold off hard, right? So once I noticed in terms of my bearish confirmations, it was the bearish candle right out the gate, the lower highs, and then as soon as it cracked is when I got in. Literally the moment it went under the blue line, the PCP strategy, is when I bought the puts. Now, this is the mistake I keep making. And the reason why I'm making this mistake and why I'm selling too soon, there's a couple different variables, but the main one is my sleep. My sleep has really been off ever since I got sick. And even when I'm not sick, I struggle with this. My sleep schedule has been very, very off. I'm not the most morning person. I'm more of like a night owl. That's just how I've always been. And with that being said, you know, when your sleep is completely off and when you're waking up with barely any sleep, your trading is going to be completely off. You're going to be, you know, fatigued, mentally tired and stuff like that. So my entries have been on fucking point, but my exits have been selling too soon. And it's really because of fatigue and my lack of sleep that I'm really getting, you know, like I said, towards the morning, and just being sick and being fatigued. That's really what it is. One of the things that I've actually been doing is actually taking bigger position sizes to make up for not getting the bigger percentage wins. But that's another thing, taking bigger size, you'll end up selling too soon as well. But in terms of what I want you guys to do is I want you to trade in like kind of like a box theory. I want you to trade in like, this is how you know when to exit. So I'll show you. So, let's just draw some basic support lines. Say you bought forward puts at open. How do you know? I showed you how to enter. How do you know when to sell? How do you know when to lock in profits? Well, if we crack, which we did, and as soon as we entered, if we crack 1480s, our next support level is going to be right here towards these pre-market lows, 1450. That's your next support level. If that cracks, your next support on the daily is 1430 to 1412. Right? So in terms of profit taking, 1450 is a profit taking zone because it's a support level with big upside. And then in terms of aiming for bigger wins, 1430 to 1412, when it hits 1412, we can have a gap close reversal, those other profit taking zones, right? So we know our profit taking zones for the day. I just said 1450, 1430, and 1412. Those are 3 key levels where we look to take profits. Now, how do we know when to take profits? I'm going to show you. See how it's just cracking? And it's just cracking. There's no reason to be locking in profits. These are big red candles. There's no reason to be locking in profits. Now, once you get a green candle, and the first green candle wasn't until, you know, 937, right? So once you see that first green candle, then you can lock in some profits, take off like 30% of your size if it has a big crash like it did. But the reality of the situation is, you still want to hold because, you know, it's when it has this green candle, it's going to bounce, right? If it's turning previous support, so right here, this is like a little support level right here towards 1430s. Remember on the daily, it cracked, it dropped all the way to 1440 to fill the gap. See how it's reacting as resistance. See how it's reacting as resistance. See how it's turning that previous support, the previous low here into resistance, breaking back down. That's bearish. That means that there's no reason to sell because previous support is reacting as a resistance level. But you do always want to take some profits. If you get a big crash and then that green candle forms right here, you do want to lock in some profits. And then you can choose to see if that previous support reacts as a resistance. If it does, then you're in puts. There's no reason to sell. Now, if the stock goes above, if it starts to go above and break out this 1430s, then you want to start locking in. Then you really want to start getting out because it's going to try to have a reversal and climb back to 1460s. And then if 1460s breaks out, it goes back to your initial entries at 1480s, right? But the point I'm trying to make is if previous support reacts as a resistance level, there's no reason to be locking in and selling your puts unless it had like a huge pullback and you want to lock in some profits and play it safe. But there's no reason to sell full size, right? So the point I'm trying to make is the trend reversal occurs and the puts are going to start to get crushed and you're going to want to start to get out when this previous support turns into an actual support, when it starts breaking out, which it never did. So I'll show you an example of, okay, what's that look like? So right here, it's breaking down and it hits a new low. Still forming resistance, still bearish. It's breaking down, forming lower highs, still hitting new lows. So if you look right here, and this is when the trend reversal started to occur, you can see right here, your resistance is at 1417, which is towards that gap fill level. So if the gap fill level at 1412 reacts to support, that's bullish. It bottoms at 1390. It starts to go back up, forms lower highs, pulls back, but it's forming higher support. It starts to break out. Once it goes above this $14.17 level, once it goes above that previous high, that resistance level, like it's doing right here and forming support right around here, this is when you know to really get out towards this 1430, 1420 mark because it's no longer turning previous support into resistance. It's starting to break above that previous support. It's starting to break out and it's starting to turn previous support into actual support, then it starts to break out. So that's how you know when the trend is going to shift, when you're going to start to see a reversal. It's crazy. It did end up heading back to my initial entry. So let's get into how to trade the best setups at the best prices. So I want you to think of it as like kind of like a box theory, right? So if you're in puts right here, you can think of this as like a box. That's what you can literally think of this. You can think of this as the box is right here. So if this breaks down and hits a new low, right? So the low of this is at 1430s. It dropped all the way to 1415. You see the green candle. So, okay, it just had a massive pullback and it formed a green candle. So let me lock in a little profit and then leave the rest on to ride to see how it reacts. And if that previous low right here, the high of this box reacts as a resistance level, which it did, that means it's still bearish because it's turning previous resistance into support, right? Now, if it starts to break out above the high of this box, if it starts to turn previous support to actual support starts to break out, that's when you're going to see a trend shift reversal. That's when the contracts are really going to go against you and you want to play it safe and really start locking in, right? And then let's say you chose to take the extra risk. You held some on, you chose to take the extra risk. If it goes above 1440s, your next box is going to be right here towards 1460 to 1440, right? And then if it breaks above 1460, your next box is going to be right here, 1460 to 1480. So that's how price action works. Trade the chart, trade the price action. Don't trade your P&L, don't trade your daily goal, trade the chart, trade the price action. That's what you got to do. You got to be laser focused on the price action, on, you know, previous support. Is it reacting as resistance? Okay, things are starting to shift against me. It's no longer reacting as resistance. I got to play it safe and get out, right? That's how you know to maximize the wins. So I keep making that same mistake where, and what I've noticed is if I get into a trade at market open and it goes in my favor within the first couple minutes and I'm up like 30, 40%, what I've noticed is with the trend with that, I've noticed it tends to go into my favor for another like 20 to 30 minutes. And then stocks typically like to have little micro reversals at 10 a.m. So I'm noticing that trend, I'm noticing that pattern, and I'm leaving a lot of big percentage wins on the table. Now, the way I make up for that is, you know, I do cut my losses extremely quickly. So I can do that. I do cut my losses extremely quickly. But you want to be better. You want to try to maximize your wins more. So that's what I'm noticing. If I'm up like 30, 40% and I enter a trade at market open, I'm noticing the trend with me is it tends to go more in my favor. It really does. Within the next like 15 to 30 minutes after I sell, like up until like 9:50, 10 a.m., it tends to go in my favor. So what I've noticed in terms of me trading options is if I enter a trade at market open and I'm up like 30, 40% within a couple minutes, I've noticed it tends to go a lot more in my favor within the next like 15 to 30 minutes from like 9:50 to 10 a.m. is like a key time to be selling. So that's something I'm going to work on. And like I said, it's really due to my sleep schedule. And this is why you don't want to blindly follow alerts. What you want to do is you want to learn how to trade price action. That is the key to this trading. Trading like a box theory, trading the chart, trading the daily chart, trading the extended hours chart. You trade the daily chart first, and then you break it down more in depth with extended hours trading. Get your key levels there, get your key micro levels in extended hours, get your key micro levels in normal trading hours using the 5-day chart, stuff like that, right? Trading the 1-minute chart, trading the 5-minute chart, right? That's the key to game, trading the price action. You don't want to blindly follow other people's alerts. That's the worst feeling. That's the worst feeling when you're blindly following other people's trades into the unknown. If you trade price action, you will understand exactly what your risk of holding is. You will understand, okay, if this key level reacts this way, the stock will go there. If this key level reacts this way, the stock will go there. You will understand exactly what your risk is, right? And I'm showing you how to do that like I did with Ford. So let me know in the comments below if that was helpful. Now let's get into the upcoming plays. So in terms of SST, we had a lot of members lock in profits for this one. Some made a quick 20%, some made 50%. I saw one guy make 80%. I sold half for like a 15% win, and then I'm still holding the other half. I don't recommend it really much from here, simply because it didn't close green on the day. So the moral of the story with this one is it did have its run. Unfortunately, it was during extended hours, but there were opportunities here to sell and opportunities, to sell here for a nice 30, 40, 50% return, whether it depends on your entry. But the key is it needs to turn previous resistance 14s into support. If it can't do that, then it will go back down to fill this gap below at 1330s. Low 13 is my max risk. We'll see how it reacts at 1330s. I really can't recommend it from here until I see how it reacts at 1330s, but I do have half size left on that. Don't recommend, just giving some updates on that. So just know if 14 cracks, this will pull back to 1330. We got to see how it reacts, where that gap close reversal is. That's like a longer term play. Already sold half for some profits. Just trying to leave the other half on, see if I can get a bigger win. But right now, it's not the most bullish chart, especially since it closed red. 1410 is make it or break it for the stock. Then the next make it or break it level is 1330. In terms of plays that I'm looking at for tomorrow, NKTX, I did swing trade some puts overnight. In terms of this one, it had the first red day. This stock, there was a gap to fill right here at 1872. You can see it's been trying to have gap close reversals, It's been trying to sell off. We got the first red day coming in. When you see these bearish candlesticks prior to having a massive gap up, a massive moving up, and you get this first red day, this bearish trend reversal candlestick, the stocks tend to sell off. This looks bearish. This is a bearish confirmation that I look for, and it's towards the gap close reversal level. So where is this heading? Where do I think it's heading? Well, if we can just maintain this $18 level as a resistance level and start to break down tomorrow, we will be on track to go to 1670, which is where I'd like to lock in profits for NKTX, the previous day's low. So right here, 1670s is where I'm looking to lock in profits. If it cracks that, then the next target is going to be 1570. So that's a swing trade that I have. In terms of the contracts, I bought these today, the May 20th. I bought the $20 strike. I'm in at $3.80. They're currently trading in between 4 to 430. So that's the game plan for that one. The strategy on that one is the gap close reversal strategy. That's what the strategy is. There was a gap to fill here. It filled the gap. Tried to have a reversal. Today it went from green to red on the day. Very, very bearish. We were buying these puts when the stock was at $18.80, right around $18.80. It is currently at $17.90. So that's the game plan for NKTX. Now, in terms of, and that was like all alerted, within Trader Society, like I always do. In terms of our next situation, let's see, Ford. Ford is getting interesting. So in terms of Ford, it had a gap close reversal. There was a gap to fill right here at 1412. It filled the gap. It had a reversal and it ripped back above my initial entry. And then you could see you got this previous support here. You got the previous support here. You got the previous support here. It reacted as resistance. It's starting to break down. So this closed at 1462. So if I see Ford react as a resistance level at 1462, I'll look to play puts with smaller size because it is so low and oversold, and it did try to have a gap close reversal. If it breaks above 1462, then it's going to start to run the 15. If it breaks above 15, then it goes to 1530. That's the trade, both action, price action outs for both ways on Ford. I just got to see how this one reacts. You know, it's not the most bearish chart at the moment. It did have a gap close reversal. It did try to form a pin. So we got to see how it reacts. But stocks were trading down, you know, during after hours. We'll have to see what they're doing during further extended hours, future hours trading here shortly. In terms of Netflix had its first green day reaching 201. You got a bullish candlestick right here. But again, stocks were dropping during after hours. So we got to see. $200 is going to be a key make it or break it for Netflix. If it goes above 200, it will be on track to go to 210. So keep an eye on Netflix for above 200. See if it can have the second green day. If not, it will be heading lower. In terms of other setups that I'm looking into, I want to buy Facebook puts at $217.31. I want to buy Facebook calls at 175. Key gap close reversal puts here, key gap close reversal calls here. Those are the two key levels that I'm waiting for on Facebook stock. So we'll have to wait and see how it reacts towards those key levels. In terms of other stocks, let's take a look. VERU went very, very bearish. I told people in the main chat today, ADER and VERU puts should print today. Some people played those, did well on those. But yeah, this looks overall bearish. I've lost interest in it though because it's just already pulled back so much and it's not as volatile. So that one I'm gonna remove from the watch list for now, but it does look overall bearish within time. And then let's take a look at SPY. SPY is gonna be the main play for you know, tomorrow. So in terms of SPY, and you could see the market is, I mean, if we take a look here during extended hours, you can see we are currently having a gap up during extended hours. I mean, looking at the daily chart on the SPY, it's looking fairly bullish. You have a bullish trend reversal candle here. You have another bullish candle coming in here. But the make it or break it level for SPY, and what I want you to understand about the SPY heading into tomorrow and heading into next week, is this resistance level. There was a gap to fill at 428.51. It filled the gap, had a reversal, but you can see this is a bullish candlestick, this is a bullish candlestick, right? And it is trying to trend up here during extended hours, currently trading at 425.65. So SPY had a very nice gap close reversal. It went from 429 all the way down to 421. Right now it's at 425. I mean, if you've been looking at the trend recently in terms of like its pumps, lately it's been going up. During future hours trading, it's been gapping up. And then what it does is it sells off at open. It sells off at open and then it rips higher. Like if we've been looking at this trend for the past 2 days in terms of what SPY has been doing, is it's been gapping up and then it sells off towards open or towards 9:50 a.m. around that time. And then it fills the gap. And then it rips back up, has a gap close reversal. It did the same thing today it did yesterday. Yesterday, the bottom was at 10:30. Today, the bottom was at 10:40. It did the same exact thing. It gapped up, came back down, except today it partially filled the gap. If you watched my video yesterday, I'd mentioned that the ideal price to be buying SPY calls was the gap fill at 417.27. Like I mentioned in my video before that, 416.10. Literally the lows, literally the bottom, exact same timing, except today SPY ended up forming higher support and it did not fill the gap. And then it shot back up to close this gap. And then once it closed this gap right here at 428.51, it had a reversal and now it's currently shooting up. So what I want you to understand about the SPY and our new make it or break it level is going to be 427.81. And you can also say 428.51. That's going to be the zone. If you see that zone 427.81 to 428.51 react as a resistance level, you're going to want to play the puts and ride this back down because it's going to start to try and fill that gap. Now, this is what I want you to understand about puts. If SPY breaks out and turns 428.50 to 429 into support, you're not going to want to be in puts because it's going to start to rocket. If you look at the daily chart right here, you got a gap to fill above at 438.06. When is that gap going to start to fill? That gap at 438.06, which is the best price to buy puts, is going to start to fill once SPY breaks out above 429, right? So this is what I want you to understand. We're in a channel right now. The channel is from 429 You can say like 428.50 as well. That's the zone of this channel. And if it fails to break out, it likes to quickly drop into the 418, the 419 range. We have a gap to fill below at 417.27. We have a gap to fill above at 438. Which one is going to fill first, right? So you're trading in the middle right now. Which one's going to fill first? If 429, 428 reacts as a resistance, we will be on track for a gap fill to 417, which is the best price to buy the calls. If 429 starts to break out, forms very strong support, right? Then this will be on track to fill the gap at 438.06, which is the best price for puts. So your key make it or break it middle level for tomorrow is going to be 427.81. You can also say 429 as well, but mainly 427.81. It's going to be very interesting to see how this reacts. I do see myself making a trade on the SPY tomorrow. So we are currently gapping up. So what I'm thinking is if we get 427.81, right? So if this opens up well above 427.81, then we wait for 438. If it opens up above 427.81 and then it cracks and goes red below 427.81, then I'm playing the puts. That's what I'm looking to do. So in terms of the SPY, we're looking for something like this. We're looking for a fake pump. We're looking for a resistance level towards market open or towards 9:45, 9:50 a.m. Once we get these bearish confirmations, play the puts for a quick scalp under 427.81 once it breaks down, once it goes from green to red on the day. So I'm hoping it can get above this, and then once it goes red, I'll look to play the puts. That's the game plan. So remember, we're in a channel right now, and SPY was just at 421. Now it's at 426, extremely volatile. So if we can get a pump to 427.81, we wait for it to go red. We wait for it to look bearish, right? If it's pumping, if it's just going up, we don't do anything. We wait for it to go bearish, wait for it to go red, and then we buy the puts, right? So that's the game plan on the SPY, and just understand and don't be surprised if 429 breaks out and reacts to support, we will be on track for 438, which is the best price to buy puts. This is the beauty of trading. Let's say we play puts at 427.81 and we get stopped out. It goes up $1, we get stopped out. Then we play puts at 438, put in more size, make it all back and more, make at least 2, 3, 4 points, on the downside. So we're going to kill it no matter what. Like tomorrow should be a green day, right? So tomorrow should be a phenomenal day. The best, the best setup that I'm seeing is this SPY trade, because we're at a key gap close reversal level situation. So those are the key levels. Those are the game plan. I am more interested. I will say the daily chart does look a little micro bullish. It really does. So we got to see, I might be willing to buy calls if 429 reacts to support with a very tight stop. I might be. I mean, if you look at this chart, right, if you look at this candle right here, very identical to this candle, SPY pumped the next day hard. So be careful with puts, and just get in and get out on your plays. Get in, get out very quickly. We got to see how this reacts. But tomorrow should be a green day. I think we're going to have a great trading day for SPYs. I might look to trade it both ways. I gave you the key price levels. I gave you the key price action analysis on how to determine what to do, right? You can attempt a breakout if it looks strong. Just don't risk, if you buy calls, don't risk more than 427.81, right? If you do buy the breakout. And you can always flip sides, right? That's something I'm planning to do. I'm planning to crush it on the SPY because it's at that key level, it's at that key range where it's meant to, be cashed in on. So tomorrow should be a good day, and tomorrow will be a day where I do plan to trade the SPY, which is something I don't do every single day. But looking at the price action, looking at the key levels it's trading at, we're towards the high end of the channel to make it or break it. Now is going to be an ideal time to make some trades on SPY. If the first one doesn't work out, we can switch sides, or we can wait for a better opportunity later on throughout the day. It should be a green day, even if the win rate is 50%. Having that green day is not going to be a problem, because I know how to cut my losses quickly, and I understand how to size my positions. And I do have to work on maximizing wins better more. So with that being said, I do want to give some shout outs to students within Trader Society, because they've been absolutely crushing it. Greg absolutely crushed it. I believe he alerted space calls, and we had some members bank on those space calls. But yeah, he's been using, as you can see right here, the gap close reversal strategy. He had like a record-breaking day today, making nearly $10,000, which is absolutely insane. He made more than 20 times the cost to join Trader Society. Lifetime access, one-time fee program. In one single day, he made 20 times the cost of that education. He's absolutely crushing it. He said right here he stayed away from SPY on the day as there were too many great gap close reversal plays. This is all he's doing. He's trading the gap close reversal strategy. He's extremely consistent. He went with NAT and SPCE. If you've been watching my previous videos, he's absolutely been crushing it. Closed out 50% on his swing trade for SST profit as well. Sold Facebook earnings call at open, and then he entered Apple Lotto close before the close. That's going to bring his P&L down a little bit down tomorrow. But it was a minuscule position. He understood the risk. And he said, this week was absolutely killer for my portfolio and blessed to have learned from William Cameron gap close reversal strategy. Back at it again tomorrow, folks. He's absolutely crushing it, guys. Pay attention to what he's putting out because he understands how the strategy works. I mean, just take a look at what he did with Space. He alerted these earlier today. He noticed Space had the lowest gap to fill below right here at 736, just like Ford had a gap to fill below at 1412 with key support, right? And if you've been paying attention, SPY has been having gap close reversals, and a lot of these stocks later on after SPY have been coming back down to fill their gaps. Now they're having gap close reversals, so you see the pattern, you see the trend, right? There was a gap to fill at 736 right here towards key support with big upside potential. It goes down to 728 in terms of, okay, what are the bullish confirmations to be buying? Well, it initially cracked, so we don't buy then. We wait for it to go back up and turn into support and for the bullish confirmations to form. What's a bullish confirmation? What does that look like? Right here. It breaks out. It goes to 740. It forms higher support and a dragonfly doji. This right here, this candlestick, this dragonfly doji is the best trend reversal confirmation you can use for a gap close reversal at a key support. So if you see it break out, have a pullback, form this candlestick, that's your confirmation to be buying Space calls. Right here, bullish confirmations to be buying in the 730s, right? And then it pumps and then it takes off. That's how that strategy works. So big shout out to him for crushing it on Space calls. He did alert those earlier today within the chat. Big shout out to my guy Lee. He's been absolutely crushing, man. Look at this 128% profit return on Tesla call options. Made a $14,000 profit. That is more than 30 times. That's absolutely insane. That's more than 30 times the cost of Trader Society in one single day. Two people had 2 5-figure days today. We have one trader who hits 6-figure to 7-figure every single week gains on SPY. All he does is trade SPY. Big shout out to James, 11% profit return. Big shout out to Anna T. Ended up making 162% profit return, $3,000 profit on the portfolio. Big shout out to Alex, absolutely crushed it, $13,000 profit. Big shout out. See right here, he had thanked Greg Locks because that alert on Space was absolutely killer. Classic gap close reversal setup. He sent his price alerts. They're making the trades. 85% profit return. We have a great community in here because they understand how this strategy works and they're taking advantage of these opportunities. They run their scans. They set their price alerts. Once the price alert triggers, they wait for the reaction. They wait for confirmation. They get it on the trade. They share it with other members. There's great opportunities. They're pointing people in the right direction. Maurice, 9% return on the portfolio. JD's 8% return on the portfolio. Loving the consistency, man. You guys are absolutely crucial. Riser had a huge day today. 10% return on the portfolio, $900. So big shout out to everybody within Trader Society. You guys are absolutely crushing it. Let's continue to use the gap close reversal strategy, the gap fill strategy, our top 2 strategies. That's all we mainly trade. Very simplified gap trading system, and we're going to crush it tomorrow on the SPY. SPY is the #1 play I'm seeing tomorrow. I'm going to keep an eye on Ford, but SPY is like the #1 play I'm seeing for tomorrow. So yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be I gave you guys the game plan for SPY. That's gonna be it for this video. So if you do want to join Trader Society and trade with us live tomorrow at market open, right? So in terms of what do you get access to, you get lifetime access to the chat room. Within the chat room, you get the stock analysis, you get the real-time stock analysis, you get the price alerts, you get the daily updates in real time, you get the watch list, you get the real-time trade alerts for day trading and swing trading. You also get the leap option trade alerts. These are longer term trade alerts. The best moderator within the chat room is planning to do a 1K to 100K challenge as well. He's the one who's absolutely crushing it on the SPY. You do also get access to all of the channels within the chat room, the trading floor. That's where you get to talk to members. And member callouts is where you see other traders' alerts, their real-time entries and exits, right? So you get lifetime access to the community. You also get lifetime access. You can add members. You can add us on Discord as your friend, contact us one-on-one directly. You also get access to the video lesson library. Within the video lesson library, you will learn how to trade the best setups at the best prices. You will learn the gap method trading system, the 2 unique gap trading strategies that we are using to consistently make money within the market. It is a very simplified strategy that I'm mainly using at market open within the first 30 minutes to an hour. And then typically from them, I'll call it, because that's, in terms of my style of trading, I like volatility and I like trading at the most volatile time of day, which is, market open, the first 30 minutes, first hour market open. And then I'll typically just call it. And then from there, you can set price alerts. And if those price alerts trigger during midday or during power hour, you can trade during those times as well. You just have to understand midday is a lot slower. Things pick up a lot more during power hour, which is like 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., right? So you will learn how to trade the best setups at the best prices within the video lesson library. You will also learn within the video lesson library, like I said, the gap trading strategies, how to trade price action, how to trade the chart, the daily chart, the 1-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, how to trade for the micro, the short-term price action, and how to trade for the macro, the longer term, the mid-term price action, right? More for swing trading and investing, right? So you learn all 3. You will also learn risk management and position sizing, psychology and mindset training within the video lesson library. And you do also get access to the live trading streams where you get to watch me trade live at market open, and you can ask me questions live on the spot. You can add us as a friend on Discord, contact us one-on-one directly from there. We have plenty of members who are absolutely crushing it on a weekly basis, very consistent, very active within the chat room. And we have a community who's dedicated and laser focused on trading this simple gap trading strategy, right? So that's what really sets us apart. We have this gap close reversal strategy. We have this gap fill strategy where it sets the trend. We get in right before the trend reverses. We're trend setters. And the community is dedicated to mastering this strategy, right? So we're all laser focused on really just mastering this one simple gap trading strategy. That's what really sets us apart, right? We've really simplified our trading, and we're dedicated to a simple, highly effective strategy that has a phenomenal risk to return ratio, right? The PCP strategy. So if you do want to be a part of it, all the information is going to be on the page, first link in the description. Read that page, read that entire page, watch the video on that page. You'll understand exactly everything what's included. And if you want to trade live with us tomorrow at market open, you can do that. It's instant access, it's a one-time fee, and you get lifetime access to the entire program, right? So if you want to trade with us live at market open, I'm telling you, tomorrow should be a phenomenal green day, without a doubt. It really should be. Even if my win rate happens to be 50%, it should be a phenomenal green day. I already have one great trade lined up that I'm going to swing, like on NKTX. And then I have more trades lined up with the SPY and potentially Ford. So tomorrow should be absolutely phenomenal. It's going to be that first link down below in the description. I will see you guys tomorrow live at market open.